The story of Moses, a journey of faith and freedom. Gather around, my friends, for I have a tale to tell. A tale of a man chosen by the Almighty, a man who stood against the greatest power of his time, a man named Moses. His journey, full of miracles and trials, began in the land of Egypt, where the Hebrews lived as slaves under the cruel hand of Pharaoh. Now, Moses wasn't always the leader we remember today. He was born into a time of fear, a time when Pharaoh decreed that all Hebrew baby boys be cast into the Nile to prevent the Hebrews from growing too strong. But Moses' mother, a woman of courage and love, could not bear such a fate for her son. She placed him in a basket, crafted with care and sealed with pitch, and set him adrift upon the river. Trusting in the providence of God. But fate has a strange way of working, does it not? The basket floated to none other than Pharaoh's daughter, who found the baby and took him in as her own. Moses grew up in the palace, surrounded by the splendor of Egypt, unaware of his true heritage. But the blood of his people ran in his veins, and one day, when he saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew slave, something within him stirred. In a moment of anger, he struck the Egyptian down and fled into the desert to escape Pharaoh's wrath. In the wilderness, Moses found refuge among the Midianites. He married, tended sheep, and perhaps thought his days of consequence were behind him. But then, my friends, came the moment that would change everything, the burning bush. One day, as Moses led his flock, he saw a bush that burned with fire but was not consumed. And from the flames came a voice, the voice of God. "Moses! Moses!" the voice called. Trembling, Moses answered, "Here I am." God commanded him to return to Egypt and lead the Hebrews to freedom. Moses protested, for he was a humble man, slow of speech, but God assured him, "I will be with you." And so, Moses returned to Egypt, armed with nothing but faith and the power of God. He confronted Pharaoh, demanding, "Let my people go." But Pharaoh's heart was hard, and he refused. Thus began a series of wonders and plagues. Water turned to blood, swarms of locusts, darkness over the land, and more. Each time, Pharaoh promised freedom, but then broke his word. Finally, the night came when the angel of death passed over Egypt, sparing only the homes marked with lamb's blood. Grief swept the land, and Pharaoh at last relented. The Hebrews, led by Moses, fled into the night, carrying with them the promise of a new beginning. But their journey was far from over. Pharaoh's heart hardened once more, and he pursued them to the shores of the Red Sea. It seemed all was lost, but Moses stretched out his staff, and the waters parted, creating a path of dry land. The Hebrews crossed safely, and the sea closed behind them, swallowing Pharaoh's army. But freedom is not without its trials. The Hebrews wandered in the wilderness for 40 years, learning to trust in God. They received the 10 Commandments at Mount Sinai, manna from heaven, and water from the rock. And though Moses himself did not enter the Promised Land, he led his people to its threshold, a testament to faith, perseverance, and the enduring power of hope. And so, my friends, the story of Moses is not just the story of one man, but of a people's journey from bondage to freedom, from despair to deliverance. May it remind us all that even in the darkest of times, there is a light that guides us, a fire that burns but does not consume,